Jezekiel, chapters 42 and 43. And he brought me into the inner court, eastward, opposite the northern gate. And he brought me in, and behold, 5 chambers near the vacant space, and near the northern partition, 100 cubits in length toward the north, and in breadth 50, ornamented accordingly as the gates of the inner court, and arranged accordingly as the peristyles of the outer court, with triple porticos fronting one another. And in front of the chambers was a walk 10 cubits in breadth, the length reaching to 100 cubits, and their doors were northward. And the upper walks were in like manner, for the peristyle projected from it, even from the range of columns below, and there was a space between. So were there a peristyle and a space between, and so were there 2 porticos. For they were triple, and they had not pillars like the pillars of the outer ones. Therefore they projected from the lower ones, and the middle ones from the ground. And there was light without, corresponding to the chambers of the outer court, looking toward the front of the northern chambers. The length of them was 50 cubits. For the length of the chambers looking toward the inner court was 50 cubits. And these are the ones that front the others. The whole was 100 cubits. And there were doors of these chambers for an outlet towards the east, so that one should go through them out of the outer court, by the opening of the walk at the corner. And the south parts were toward the south, toward the remaining space, and toward their partition, and so were the chambers. And the walk was in front of them, according to the measures of the chambers toward the north, both according to the length of them, and according to the breadth of them, and according to all their openings, and according to all their turnings, and according to their lights, and according to their doors. So were the measures of the chambers toward the south, and according to the doors at the entrance of the walk, as it were the distance of a reed for light, and eastward, as one went in by them. And he said to me, the chambers toward the north, and the chambers toward the south, in front of the void spaces, these are the chambers of the sanctuary, wherein the priests, the sons of Zadok, who draw nigh to the Lord, shall eat the most holy things. And there shall they lay the most holy things, and the meat offering, and the sin offerings, and the trespass offerings, because the place is holy. None shall go in thither except the priests, and they shall not go forth of the holy place into the outer court, that they that draw nigh to me may be continually holy, and may not touch their garments in which they minister with defilement, for they are holy, and they shall put on other garments whenever they come in contact with the people. So the measurement of the house within was accomplished, and he brought me forth by the way of the gate that looks eastward, and measured the plan of the house round about in order. And he stood behind the gate, looking eastward, measuring 500 cubits with measuring reed. And he turned to the north, and measured the front of the north side 500 cubits with the measuring reed. And he turned to the west, and measured in front of the west side 500 cubits with the measuring reed. And he turned to the south, and measured in front of the south side 500 cubits by the measuring reed. The 4 sides he measured by the same reed, and he marked out the house and the circumference of the parts round about, a space of 500 cubits eastward, and a breadth of 500 cubits, to make a division between the sanctuary and the outer wall that belonged to the design of the house. Moreover, he brought me to the gate looking eastward, and led me forth. And behold, the glory of the God of Israel came by the eastern way. And there was a voice of an army, as the sound of many redoubling their shouts. And the earth shone like light from the glory round about. And the vision which I saw was like the vision which I saw when I went in to anoint the city. And the vision of the chariot which I saw was like the vision which I saw at the river Kobar. And I fell upon my face. And the glory of the Lord came into the house by the way of the gate looking eastward. And the Spirit took me up, and brought me into the inner court. And behold, the house of the Lord was full of glory. And I stood, and behold, there was a voice out of the house of one speaking to me, and a man stood near me. And he said to me, Son of man, thou hast seen the place of my throne, and the place of the soles of my feet, in which my name shall dwell in the midst of the house of Israel forever. And the house of Israel shall no more profane my holy name, they and their princes by their fornication, or by the murders of their princes in the midst of them. When they set my doorway by their doorway, and my threshold near to their thresholds, and they made my wall, as it were, joining myself in them, and they profaned my holy name with their iniquities which they wrought. And I destroyed them in my wrath and with slaughter. And now let them put away from me their fornication, and the murders of their princes, and I will dwell in the midst of them forever. And thou, son of man, show the house to the house of Israel, that they may cease from their sins, and show its aspect and the arrangement of it. And they shall bear their punishment for all the things that they have done. And thou shalt describe the house and its entrances, and the plan thereof, and all its ordinances. And thou shalt make known to them all the regulations of it, and describe them before them. And they shall keep all my commandments and all my ordinances, and do them. And thou shalt show the plan of the house on the top of the mountain. All its limits round about shall be most holy. And these are the measures of the altar by the cubit of a cubit and a span. The cavity shall be a cubit deep, and a cubit shall be the breadth, and the border on the rim of it round about shall be a span. And this shall be the height of the altar, from the bottom at the commencement of the hollow part to this great mercy seat. From beneath was 2 cubits, and the breadth was a cubit. And from the little mercy seat to the great mercy seat 4 cubits, and the breadth was a cubit. And the altar shall be 4 cubits, and from the altar and above the horns a cubit. And the altar shall be of the length of 12 cubits by 12 cubits in breadth, square upon its 4 sides. And the mercy seat shall be 14 cubits in length by 14 cubits in breadth on its 4 sides. And there shall be a border to it carried round about it of half a cubit, and the rim of it shall be a cubit round about, the steps thereof looking eastward. And he said to me, Son of man, thus saith the Lord God of Israel, these are the ordinances of the altar in the day of its being made, to offer upon it whole burnt offerings, and to pour blood upon it. And thou shalt appoint to the priests the Levites of the seed of Zadok, that draw nigh to me, saith the Lord, to minister to me, a calf of the herd for a sin offering. And they shall take of its blood, and shall put it on the 4 horns of the altar, and upon the 4 corners of the propitiatory, and upon the base round about, and they shall make atonement for it. And they shall take the calf of the sin offering, and it shall be consumed by fire in the separate place of the house, outside the sanctuary. And on the 2nd day they shall take 2 kids of the goats without blemish for a sin offering, and they shall make atonement for the altar, as they made atonement with the calf. And after they have finished the atonement, they shall bring an unblemished calf of the herd, and an unblemished ram of the flock. And ye shall offer them before the Lord, and the priest shall sprinkle salt upon them, and shall offer them up as whole burnt offerings to the Lord. 7 days shalt thou offer a kid daily for a sin offering, and a calf of the herd, and a ram out of the flock. They shall sacrifice them unblemished for 7 days. And they shall make atonement for the altar, and shall purge it, and they shall consecrate themselves. And it shall come to pass from the 8th day and onward, that the priest shall offer your whole burnt offerings on the altar, and your peace offerings. And I will accept you, saith the Lord. The Revelation of St. John the Theologian, chapter 12. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, in pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto God, and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought, and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, called the devil, and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with them. And he heard a loud voice, saying in heaven, Now is come salvation, and strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and times, and half a time, from the face of the serpent. The serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth held the woman, and the earth opened her mouth, and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. The dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keeps the commandments of God, and have the testimony of Jesus Christ.